Speaking of safety, one person that the Falcons have been tied to in the past few weeks is Jalen Ramsey. Do you think that's still an option on the table? And I know he would probably come in and play corner, but do you think that now we have more limited draft capital? Could we potentially trade away our third round pick today, or even our late third round, the 101 we got from the Rams, or even our fourth round pick, 118, to get Ramsey today? Do you think that's on the table?
Yeah, I do actually. I was actually texting with my source back and forth, just trying to figure what's going on, tonight. And no, I don't. Unfortunately, I don't have any knowledge for you guys. But I had said, is 101 or 118 on the table to go get Ramsey, and all I got back was a smiley face, right? So I'm not telling you that that's going to happen. That's not what I'm saying. But I felt that way last night. I felt like because they were able to address what they did last night, I feel like that is on the table. I feel like phone calls are being made. And look, there is no doubt he wants to be in Atlanta. He wants to come. He wants to come play for Raw. He wants to come be here. And I think any veteran that is still available or is looking for a place that they can win, I think Atlanta all of a sudden now looks really attractive, again, because of the guys we've talked about with the offense, and now with the defense. You've got a defensive coordinator who has proven himself over the last few years after leaving Atlanta. You've got some young guys here that and by the way, just as a side note, I don't mean to kind of skip around here, but with all these young guys under contract, look what this opens up for possibilities next year in free agency and the year after that, right? Like Atlanta's window, y'all get fucking excited because this window is blowing wide open right now. I just, when you look at this young core, some of these vets that are looking to go win now are going to give a really big time look to Atlanta and want to come here and play. And I'm really excited about that. Because I don't see the Super Bowl collapse in our future. I see the Super Bowl trophy being hoisted up because of where this franchise is at.
I want that Super Bowl trophy with Ryan mentoring Penix on the sideline, with Roddy coaching up the receivers. I need them to get the ring with us too. That'll really drive it home for me. But okay, you talked about you don't have any intel from the source
I don't.
on what we're doing on day two, but what at 101,
Yeah.
what would you do? Do you think we go after maybe a center like Wilson from Georgia or Seth McLaughlin from Ohio State, or do you think would you go defense here?
So let me start out by saying shout out to everybody joining us live right now. There's a lot of people with a lot of questions in our chat, and we appreciate that. But Eric Mikel actually says that is center on the table today. I think center is absolutely on the table today. I think when you look at 101 and 118, I think center and secondary are both on the table. I think if the first round is any indication, some guys are going to continue to drop and some guys will be available. It would not shock me if you saw Atlanta try to pair those two third rounders and move up back into the second round to go grab a couple of these guys that have fallen. For me, I would love to see them put a package together and try to jump into the top three here in the second round and go get a guy like Will Johnson, who by all accounts is a top 15 pick and is still sitting in the green room, right? Like he may not have left Lambeau Field last night. He's still sitting there waiting for his name to be called. So for me, I think there's a lot on the table. I think, you'll go center, corner are both big options for today. I wouldn't even be shocked to see a wide receiver, to be honest with you. I mean, Terry Fontenot seems to love his offensive guys. And so it may have been a little painful for him last night because, I put out that report yesterday that he absolutely loved Matthew Golden. I'll be honest with you. I thought with him taking 9 minutes and 59 and a half seconds to turn in that damn card, I thought for sure he was about to have that name called. But I think those are the three positions to watch for today. I think center is absolutely on the table. I think corner's on the table. But again, my dream is that they move up in the second round and again, go get one of those guys who fell from the first round, like a Will Johnson, who's still on the table.
Will Johnson would be absolutely wild. Guys, if he
Yeah.
didn't get injured, I
Mhm.
promise you, it's not even top 15. He's a top 10 pick. But
Yeah.
here's the thing though. The reason why he's sliding so hard, his injury could be long term. I've been told by some people that really are into scouting that this could be like an arthritic knee situation, kind of like what Gurley had. So
Ah.
That's why he slipped into this. He is not a day two probably. He is even injured. He's a day one prospect. It's just his long term is in question. That doesn't mean that's what's going to happen, but that's the possibility that he's facing.
Yeah, and you know, you don't. I mean, you know, Todd Gurley, and people forget. I mean, that's why the Falcons didn't take Todd Gurley initially back. You know, what was it, 2016 when they took Beasley? I mean, everybody was really hoping that they would take Gurley. I mean, Gurley was the guy, but Gurley's
Hometown kid, right?
medicals, yeah. I mean, you know, right up this road from I think he's from North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, went to UGA. Obviously had a really good career at UGA. But those medicals scared a lot of people, and obviously we saw why, right? Like his career lasted 5 years, and he was done because he may not be able to walk by the time he's 35. And so if that's what Will Johnson's facing, I understand the slide, and I understand the timidness of letting him sit when it sucks for him. And you know, I think unfortunately for him, you wish his agent had been a little bit more honest with him than going to Green Bay and sitting in a green room, because ultimately it's what he and Jalen Milroe at this point. You know, I think for me, I would take a shot at a guy like that. And there's a couple other guys that have slid. And you know, put that package together and go try to get something, make something else happen. Because ultimately, I'd rather have one high second round pick than 2/3. Maybe that's just me. But again, there's a lot on the table for the Falcons. I'm excited for that.
I want to talk about Kayvon Thibodeaux. You put it out there yesterday that
Yep.
the Falcons were trying to maybe parlay that second round pick to go get Thibodeaux, but the Giants are being unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
What's unreasonable? What did they wanted our first round pick next year? Is that what they wanted?
They did. So, you know, on top of having to pay Thibodeaux, they wanted a first and a second, which I think is absolutely insane. I would not have given up 2026 for a guy like that, because if we're being honest, the dude's underachieved, right? Like
Yeah.
he has not lived up to the billing of what he was coming out of Oregon. So I don't fault the Falcons for that. I think they made the right move, and when the Giants wouldn't budge off of that, the Falcons started making phone calls. You know, just like they did last year. Like, you know, I'll give Terry credit. You know, Terry for the last 2 years has tried to make things happen, and he finally got a team on the other end of the phone that said, "Hell yeah, we'll do a trade with you," and it's worked out. And you know, there's been a lot of swings and misses here, right? You know, last year we go back to the Daniel Hunter situation. We go back to the draft where they offered 2 firsts and a second to move back into the draft. You know, Terry has tried to do his best, and I shit on him a lot, and I think a lot of it is deserved. But he's also tried to make a lot of things happen, right? Like he opened up the phone calls. He opened up the lines of communication really early with the Dallas Cowboys last year, week 2. Called the Cowboys and said, "Hey, you know, you got a lot of people you got to pay for. We'll take Micah off your hands." Like he started that line of communication really early. Nothing came of it. It's okay. You know, he's reached out about Trey Hendrickson. Like he's been in constant contact trying to get a guy like that. So Terry has tried to make things happen. You can't force things to happen. But it was nice to actually see something fall in his lap, and him be able to take advantage of what he's been trying to do. So, you know, again, he deserves a lot of the disgruntledness. I'm not going to say hate, but he deserves a lot of the disgruntledness from the fan base. But I think yesterday went a long way in soothing that, and you know, I think that there may be some more magic later on tonight.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're the first people to call the team to carpet, right? Like when they do
Yes, sir.
bad, we're not going to hold back. But in this
Nope.
situation, you need a pass rusher. You got 2 young ones, and we'll see what happens. But I'm happy that Terry didn't give up a first round pick next year and our second this year, which is essentially what we use to get Pierce. But with Pierce, you have the upside that maybe he develops better than Thibodeaux, and you don't have to pay him for 5 years. Thibodeau's gonna want $30 million a year, which he may not be worth that amount.